Howie Roseman is always working the phones and keeping the roster fresh when things get tricky in August. A couple of unexpected bumps and bruises just hit our receivers' room hard, leaving the coaching staff looking for an immediate solution to keep the reps going. Instead of panicking or looking outside the building, the front office decided to call up a guy who already knows the system. This quick reunion proves how fast things change during camp in South Philly. Grab a Wawa hoagie and let us talk about the newest addition trying to secure a spot. The Philadelphia Eagles are shaking up the receiver room once again as they work through a rash of injuries during training camp. Today, we learned the team is re-signing undrafted rookie wide receiver Brandon Hayes, a move reported by his agency, Quattro Sports Group, with a hat tip to Eri Bona NFL. Hayes is no stranger to this organization. He first arrived in Philadelphia for a tryout during the early May rookie minicamp, before earning a roster spot just ahead of the May 27th OTA session. However, the business side of the league hit him quickly when he was waived on June 6th to clear space for the addition of Zion Wilson. With key contributors like Devonta Smith and Mekhi Lemon battling hamstring issues and Britton Covey dealing with an unclear injury, the front office had to act fast to ensure they had enough bodies to keep practice moving. The bottom line here is that Hayes provides a familiar face who understands the playbook, allowing the team to fill necessary reps while the coaching staff navigates this wave of physical setbacks. While the Eagles have yet to officially announce this signing or confirm the corresponding roster moves to make room for him, the news has sparked real curiosity among the fan base regarding who might be moved out to accommodate his return. We know he has a grasp of the system, but the real mystery is whether he can elevate his performance enough to stick on the roster once our star receivers get healthy again and reclaim their spots on the field. Securing a familiar face like Brandon Hayes is often the silent move that prevents a total personnel collapse when injuries mount in August. Having been waived just 2 months ago to accommodate the addition of Zion Wilson, Hayes represents a unique insurance policy for our staff, as he already understands the nuances of the playbook despite his brief stint away from the facility. The front office clearly prioritized continuity over raw talent during this emergency, preferring a receiver who can immediately align correctly in drills rather than a complete stranger needing a crash course. We have seen this revolving door approach pay dividends before, where players who were once cut and later brought back show a sudden sense of urgency, knowing this might be their final opportunity to prove they deserve a spot on the final roster. And that changes everything regarding how he will approach these upcoming practice sessions. Coaches are likely evaluating whether his previous experience in our system can bridge the gap while the main rotation remains sidelined. By retaining someone who knows the rhythm of the snap count and the specific route adjustments favored by our staff, we minimize the disruption during this demanding part of the schedule. It is a calculated decision that suggests our leadership is more worried about maintaining high-quality, efficient reps during these media-attended sessions than experimenting with unproven youth who might be overwhelmed by the complexity of the current scheme. While the official paperwork might be pending, the tactical logic behind this reunion is transparent to anyone who has watched this team manage camp rosters under this ownership group for many years. Moving past the simple announcement of this move, we have to consider what this re-signing actually signals for our roster management moving into the heart of summer. Now here's the thing. This decision matters because it highlights a desperate need for reliability when our primary targets are off the field. Brandon Hayes offers a level of stability that a raw newcomer simply cannot replicate, which keeps our offensive drills running smoothly while our top-tier receivers heal. His return effectively shores up the depth chart at wide receiver during these media-attended sessions, ensuring we avoid any regression in coordination while the coaching staff manages the workload of our starters. By bringing back someone who already internalized the playbook during his previous stint, the organization avoids the typical downtime associated with teaching an outsider the ropes. This isn't just about filling a jersey for the next week of camp. It's about making sure our passing game stays sharp enough to challenge opposing defenses once the regular season kicks off. Maintaining that level of output is necessary to keep pace with our division rivals, who are all working hard to solidify their own units before the kickoff. Any dip in practice efficiency could leave us vulnerable during early matchups where timing and chemistry remain the biggest hurdles for every contender. While this won't alter the long-term outlook for the playoffs, having a capable hand in the huddle during these critical August practices provides the consistency we require. Our ability to execute complex plays depends entirely on having players who know their assignments. And in that regard, Hayes is the right choice to keep us moving toward our primary goals. Bringing Brandon Hayes back into the fold is a calculated gamble on efficiency over upside. The strongest argument for this move is the immediate reduction in mental errors during drills, as Hayes knows the route trees and timing requirements our staff demands, which is a massive help when coaches are juggling so many limited reps due to the recent injury wave. However, the downside remains apparent. We are essentially prioritizing a known commodity who struggled to stick earlier this summer rather than giving those limited practice opportunities to a younger player with a higher long-term ceiling. Industry observers and media voices like Ad Debona NFL are highlighting how this move showcases the team's preference for veterans or players with institutional memory, especially when depth charts are being tested by the current setbacks facing Makai Lemon and Devonta Smith. Some analysts argue that searching for fresh talent on the waiver wire might have yielded a higher reward, while others suggest sticking with a familiar body like Hayes is exactly what a coaching staff needs to prevent training camp chaos. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Re-signing a player who was cut for someone like Zion Wilson implies that our current roster depth is thinner than anyone wants to admit, and we might just be spinning our wheels until the starters return. My honest take here is that while this signing settles the chaos of the moment, it highlights just how delicate our wide receiver rotation is right now. If the goal is simply steady hands for a week of practice, then I suppose it works. But I am skeptical this does much to push our offensive development forward in the long run. When we examine the news regarding Brandon Hayes coming back to the nest, it highlights a calculated shift in how this franchise values institutional memory over high-risk experimental roster churn. Here is where it gets interesting. This decision signals that management is moving toward a more conservative, stability-focused personnel strategy for the coming seasons, prioritizing veteran-like familiarity to weather the inevitable storms of a long training camp. You should feel cautiously optimistic because this move demonstrates that our front office has a clear plan to protect the rhythm of our offensive drills, even when the injury report looks intimidating. It is reassuring to see they are not panicking or reaching for unproven talent when they have a known quantity available who already fits their system from the May sessions. Holding on to guys who have already cleared our initial tryouts and understand our specific coaching demands is a smart way to ensure no time is wasted during these vital practice hours. By leaning on players like Hayes, the team is choosing to maintain a steady baseline rather than dealing with the disruptive learning curve of a complete stranger mid-camp. This approach keeps the competitive tension high while providing a safety net for our primary playmakers. If you had to pick between bringing back a familiar face who knows the playbook or rolling the dice on a totally unknown undrafted rookie to fill these gaps, would you choose the comfort of familiarity every single time? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Fly Eagles Fly. I'll see you in the next one.